This is Arukh HaShulchan Yeridea Simon Yerches Sifir Av Tir Gimel, Supplemental Day 82 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi cycle. Yudav. Shabbaseinu Achronim, know that our rabbis, the Achronim, the Amshishleim, the Shach, and the Tuah Shor, because they wrote, that which we have a custom check with a fingernail, is because we're not concerned with a microscopic imperfection. If you do find a microscopic imperfection, such as if you do check in the sun or by drawing through the water, have a treifa, then the animal's a treifa. You don't have to be concerned with this. You don't have to be suspicious of this. The very according to what they said, having kula, it's a very great kula. Futema is astonishing. How can you deliberately go and be lenient in a Torah prohibition? However, in truth, according to that, we should clarify. All of the Rishonim agree. He's saying the Matthias is different. He's saying with a nail you can, and this is the Arukh HaShulchan, even his belting, the Rashba's belting, according to the Arukh HaShulchan, can feel a very fine nick. That's the Arukh HaShulchan's position. Because he equated all the opinions. With the nail we can sense even the finest imperfection. Even one which a hair can enter. If a hair can't get snagged in it, it's not Pekim at all. Bracket says about Rosh Dasa tour, Lucio came in and Mukhrach. According to Rosh, it's a much larger shear. But Shlomo is not convinced of that. Back out of brackets, we see in our day and age with our own senses. A nail can sense the finest of the finest nick. If somebody has the proper sensation. Therefore, there's no better check than the check of the fingernail. On the contrary, the checking by the sun, by the water, and by the tongue, we almost have no concept of them. And even on the flesh, it's difficult to sense a fine nick, as is known to all the shalchtim in our day and age. Therefore, it's not a kula to go after the nail. Mikadina kenu. This is the letter of law. Evidently, Arukh HaShulchan had some sort of issue in his day and age that people were casting aspersions on because it's part. Otherwise, I don't know why he spent all this time on this issue. It's not kula. This is the letter of the law. It's not possible in any other way. There's no stumbling block. So we see activities every day. How strong is the sensation of the fingernail? There's nothing comparable. Long brackets here. Seems also that way from those sources. The Bach is astonishing. In the core issue of this logic, which we wrote, that the nail can sense all the nicks. He's kim gamma chesio placey. There's been undistinguished between people. I guess in people with sensations. And so they don't have to come at this. Rabbi says Chris was not happy with it, and Arukh HaShulchan is very happy with it. The Rashi was feeling Cain, that which to replace with the Rashi doesn't hold away. Parabatim is walking the Gam Rashi, so Rashi also has away. Meister Rashi Shevi Abbei says it's talking about the Gam Chut Asar Lo Nichas Tzeicha. In the story, whichever of Rashi with the Beis Yosef brings down, must be a story about a nick where even a hair would not get snagged. L'chein Lord so they were an Aser. But in other words, it was a very fine nick can be sensed by a nail. You don't need hairs. But that which the Rashi wrote that the hair gets snagged, but not a nail. Kavanasa Agosha, it has something to do with some sensation. Divra Ra Shevenu. Not sure. I guess you have to see what Rashi is saying, but because sounds like it's maybe he specifically ain't Sipor. No, his nail. Anyway, your base. I mean, I get to Pasha say the widespread customer has because it's important in checking by the nail. You run the fingernail over the knife. That's the Torah says he has to pass over it with his nail. Rosh says he passes his finger over it. I saw some he cast aspersions on this. That's the Taisus Yontif. So you have to run the knife on the nail, not the nail on the knife. And he inferred this Gemara, which says check on the flesh and on the nail. Look, I'm a bit beast of tufa. Didn't say with the flesh and with the nail. So from this he concludes that you have to draw the knife over them, not them on the knife. Also in front of this from the Rambam, you draw it back and forth on the flesh of your finger and on your nail. So the logic is this: you draw the knife on the neck at time shechita. So therefore, you also have to check the knife by drawing the knife on the nail. But tomorrow, he says you'll dictate by a fresh ben lasha to lasha Rama and Shami is to the. But he says not. Infer from the difference between language to and language Rambam. Baby said to me, it's not astonishing. Think Peter was that it doesn't really matter either way, says HaShulchan. You do it, whatever gives you a better sensation. HaShulchan says, granted, time of Shas, it seems that they drew the knife on the nail. This is clear in the case of Mesuch Seches and Yud Zayin, Beis and Chulin, Shemchai ben Holich Vevi, ben Holich V'Levi, what distinguishes between when you extend the knife out and then brought it back in. Okay, then a case where you just extend it back out and not bring it back in. So this extending out is talking about with the knife on the finger. That's the Taz right side. Of number say, where by us, you do it's known that our sensations are greater. When you draw the nail on the knife. When the nail vibrates. Who margish yoser? No, not vibrates. When it moves. When it's in movement. Who margish yoser feels more than when it stands still. He says it seems that way from Nida Daf Chafei. It says you bring a splinter, maybe kisa. But if you hold, it's better the other way. Yes, okay, you can do it that way, and it brings down that's the Taz right side, not the Taz. The Mishnah says Prima Godim. Therefore, it's good not to distinguish the Ram and Torah because it doesn't make a difference. There's some Ashkenaz seems clear that in their country, in Germany, they did have custom to draw the finger over the knife. Perhaps they deliberately enacted that custom. Interesting logic here, because in these countries, Eastern Europe, Ashkenaz and Germany, it's very cold, being in winter. It's known that in the time of cold, the hand stiffens. You won't have a sensation. You have to heat up the hand. If you draw the knife over the finger, you won't feel that there's a lack of sensation in your finger because your finger is standing in one place. But if you draw the finger over the knife, you will notice that on account of the cold, you're lacking sensation. Fascinating, really fascinating. Also, you know that you have to heat up your fingers. But the Tanoim Ramaroim. When there's some Bavel Chena Rambam. So the Rambam Shem Medina's Chamim was in hot lands. Let's go there. Their hands were always had sensation. They need to come. They have take this precaution of drawing the finger over the knife in order to notice the lack of sensation. That'd be an amazing idea. If his name for them, die was enough to move the knife over the stationary finger. No, if we say that this is the issue, and this is what the issue of our country is up here, so therefore it makes sense not to change and not deviate from our minhag. You give a racy mishkasa the b'dika the shim shemay shegmani keres abkima. So somebody says that the checking mentioned Gemara of sun and water, you can tell of a flaw, even though the hair doesn't get snagged in it. If he died according to him, also Chazal, they answered even a hair snag. If you feel the slightest nick, even wouldn't snag a hair, tray for the animal's tray. Supreme Godim. This is an extraordinary chumrah. There's nothing on which to base it. First, all of our rabbis, both said explicitly, if a hair doesn't get snagged in, the nick ends up being clouds, not a nick at all. In the case where you check by the sun or the water, that will lead notice the nick, which will ensnare a hair. It's here, H-A-I-R. Kavur Lagim Medivya Rasha, Ranzal, and Shem, as we saw. But the truth is, even though, technically speaking, it says, I'm right, but the Maisa, if you feel even the slightest snake, it's definitely Chema. To me, how can you tell if the hair will get caught or not? The Abdika Kosher said this very hard thing to check. I think it's the first time we saw the Rosh Table Shub. An extra Sheikh to Boydek. If you Rei Elokim, who's the God of fearing Yomar, Albiro say clearly that he, even though it's a microscopic nick, it's not a problem because a hair will not get caught there. Vade the Shchid people, the Shchid is definitely kosher without any aspersions. And that's it for today.